In this lecture, I am going to talk about variance of the sum of random variables. One situation where covariances show up is when we try to calculate the variance of a sum of random variables. That means you have many random variables and you want to find the sum. Therefore, the covariance can be used to obtain a formula for the variance of the sum of several random variables, okay, and not necessarily independent random variables. It can be dependent random variable also, okay. So let us look at the variance of the sum of two random variables initially. So I am going to consider two random variables and then we can generalize this one for several random variables. Let's say x1 and x2 are random variables, okay. Now if the two random variables are independent, then we know the variance of the sum is the sum of the variances, right? Suppose variance of x1 plus x2 is equal to the variance of the sum, variance of x1 plus variance of x2, and this formula is valid only if x1 and x2 are independent. X1 and x2 are independent. If it is dependent, then this formula is not valid. Okay, but let us now look at what happens in the case where we may have dependence. Okay, so by definition, variance is the expected value of the difference of the random variable from its expected value. So we know that variance of x equal to, I am writing the general formula first, x minus e of x the whole square and take the expectation. This is a general formula. Okay, and then variance of x1 plus x2 is same way x1 plus x2 minus expected value of x1 plus x2 and take the whole square of this. Okay, now let us rearrange the terms inside this one. Rearrange. Okay, rearrange here, okay, and write inside the expectation as follows. We put together x1 with the terms minus the expected value as x1 together minus e of x1, this is one term, plus x2 together with the negative of the expected value of x2. And square it. Okay, and then we have the square of the sum of the two terms. So you can think of this is like a and this one is b. Therefore this looks like a plus b the whole square form. Okay, so we expand this quadratic to obtain the expected value of the square of the first term plus square of the second term plus 2 times the cross terms. So let us expand this quadratic terms. Expected value of square of the first term e of x1 the whole square squared plus square of the second term x2 minus e of x2 the whole squared plus 2 times the cross term. The cross terms are x1 minus e of x1 times x2 minus expected value of x2. Okay, so now you can take this expectation inside because expectation is a linear operation. So it is going to be x1 minus e times e of x1 the whole squared plus expectation of x2 minus e of x2 the whole squared plus 2 is constant, you can pull out of the expectation, 2 times expectation of x1 minus e of x1 times x2 minus expected value of x2. Now the expected value of the first term, this one, this one you can think of as variance of x1, variance of x1, variance of x1, and the expected value of the second term you can think of variance of x2, and finally the cross term that is x minus e of x1 times x2 minus e of x2 is the same as the covariance of x1 with the x2. So this is covariance of x1 with the x2. So this is going to be variance of x1 plus variance of x2 plus 2 times variance, sorry, this is not variance, it's a covariance, 2 times covariance of x1 comma x2. Now this is a general formula for the variance of the sum of two random variables. On the left hand side you have two random variables, variance of x1 plus x2. Okay, so general formula for the case of two random variables. Okay, in the case of independence, let's say if x1 and x2 are independence, then what will happen? In the case of independence, the covariance is 0, right? If the covariance is 0, then the third term will be 0. Therefore, we just have the sum of two variances. So in that case, variance of x1 plus x2 equal to variance of x1 plus variance of x2, because if the two random variables are independent, then the covariance is 0. But when the random variables are dependent, okay, sometimes, but when the random variables are dependent, then it is possible that the covariance will be non-zero. So if x1 and x2 are dependent, then there is a chance that covariance of x1 and x2 will be non-zero. That is why you have this additional term, third term, non-zero. Okay, now let us generalize this calculation for several random variables. Let's say you have x1, x2, x3 and all the way up to xn. So the next step is we are going to generalizing this calculation. Generalization. Let us say I have many random variables, like several random variables. Let's say x1 plus x2 plus x3 plus up to xn. By compact form, I can write this as sigma I is equal to 1 to n xi, sum of all random variables. Now I wanted to find the variance of the sum of random variables. So take variance on the left hand side, x1 plus x2 plus up to xn. So I can write like this, right? So now this is equal to, by formula, it is sigma I is equal to 1 to n variance of xi plus summation over all pair of I comma j such that I is not equal to j, then covariance of xi comma xj. This is a formula. Okay, so this formula we need to prove it. This is a general formula for several random variables. If you want to add it up, if you want to sum them up, several random variables, and then find the variance of the variance of those sums, then this is a formula we need to use it. So let us prove this formula. Okay, proof. So on the left hand side we have a variance of, let's say, x1 plus x2 plus up to xn. But we know the general formula. What is the general formula? If you have only one random variable, then variance of x equal to expected value of x minus e of x the whole square. So instead of x I have many random variables. Therefore let me write variance of x1 plus x2 plus up to plus xn, which is equal to the expected value of x1 plus x2 plus up to xn minus expected value of x1 plus x2 plus up to xn and square it. Okay, now you just just to put together x1 with e of x1 and x2 with e of x2, the same thing what we did in the first part of this lecture. Okay, so therefore put together this x1 with x1, x2 with x2, then xn with xn like this. So let us now combine them. So this is equal to expected value of x1 minus e of x1, this one term, plus x2 minus e of x2 plus dot 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 plus xn minus expected value of e of x1, then whole square. Okay. So we rearrange the terms and write inside the expectation as like this. Okay. Now let us introduce some kind of notation so that we will simplify this lengthy writings. So this I can say expectation of, see I have sum of many terms now here. See this is the first term, second term, dot 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 up to nth term. Okay, I have many sums and all the sums are squared. So the sums I can write in the compact form as follows. So xi minus e of xi, and once you do all the sum, then you square the entire thing. Square like this. I can write like this. Now let me introduce some shortcut notation. Okay, so for brevity, let us denote x tilde equal to exi minus e of xi. Therefore it is easy to handle and easy to write it. Okay, that's why I'm taking this kind of assumption, not assumption, like representation. So this is going to be expected value of sigma I is equal to 1 to n. This is xi tilde whole squared, right? Now again if you expand this, you will get the same thing. Let's say x1 tilde plus x2 tilde plus up to xn tilde. This is what we will get. Now, okay, I'm sorry, this is we need to put a square. Now we expand this quadratic. Now instead of a plus b, we have many terms here. Let's say a plus b plus c plus d plus up to many n terms are here. So we need to expand this. Okay, when you expand, you'll get bunch of terms of square kind of terms. Okay, and some other bunch of cross terms also. When you expand this, you'll get a bunch of terms like which is xi squared, and some other bunch of terms plus xi times xj cross terms. So these are called cross terms. maybe I'll write down here. Some you'll get a bunch of xi tilde square terms, and also you'll get a bunch of xi times xj tilde. Okay, so this type of terms you'll get it for each choice of 1 to n. Therefore, this one I can write as expected value of sigma I is equal to 1 to n, sigma j is equal to 1 to n, then xi tilde, then xj tilde, like this I can write. Okay, and take this expectation inside. So this is going to be double summation I is equal to 1 to n and j is equal to 1 to n, then expected value of xi tilde times xj tilde. This is very easy to write, or easy to one can prove that. For example, let us take n equal to 2. N is equal to 2. Then what will happen? Like expected value of x1 tilde plus x2 tilde whole squared. This is equal to expected value of x1 tilde square plus x2 tilde square plus 2 times AB, 2 times x1 tilde and x2 tilde. So this can be written as expected value of sigma double sigma like I equal to 1 to 2, I equal to 1 to 2, xi tilde, xj tilde. Okay, now if you expand this summation, you will get back the same expression. So let me expand this. This is first let me expand the jth term. Okay, so summation I is equal to 1 to 2, then xi tilde x1 tilde plus xi tilde x2 tilde, right? Then expand the second term. So this is going to be x1 tilde plus x1 tilde x2 tilde plus I equal to 2. So x2 tilde x1 tilde plus x2 tilde then x2 tilde. So this is a square term, x1 and x1 squared, and this is also x2 squared. Therefore this is going to be x1 tilde squared plus x2 tilde squared plus this, you can sum it up. So 2 times x1 tilde and x2 tilde. Therefore what I am saying is, this expression I can write in terms of double summation. Okay, still if you want to write little more clearly, then I can say like x1 tilde squared plus x2 tilde squared plus x1 x2 tilde plus x2 tilde x1 tilde. So these two terms I can represent in the compact form like I is equal to 1 to 2 xi tilde squared, and these two terms I can represent as double summation I equal to 1 to 2, j equal to 1 to 2 xi tilde xj tilde, but I is not the same as j. That condition you have to remember. Or you can write this double summation as a single summation using the compact form as follows. So this is going to be summation I equal to 1 to 2 xi tilde squared plus summation set of all I comma j such that I is not equal to j, not the same as that one. You take all the combinations. So xi tilde and xj tilde. So either write in this form or in this form, both are same. Okay, both are same notation. So this is for two random variables. So in the left hand side, what you have, expectation of x1 tilde plus x2 tilde the whole squared. If two terms are there, the two terms becomes in the right hand side like this. Suppose if you have n terms, then expectation of x1 tilde squared plus the expectation of x2, sorry, x plus x2 tilde squared plus x3 tilde squared plus up to xn tilde squared. So this I can write as sigma I is equal to 1 to n. Instead of 2, I have n here, and xi tilde squared plus I comma pair of all possible combination of I comma j such that I is equal to not equal to j. Okay, so here xi tilde plus xj tilde, I can write like this. Okay, I'm sorry, here I forgot to put e here. Let me equal to, you take the expectation inside, therefore sigma I is equal to 1 to n expected value of xi tilde squared plus take expectation inside here also, I comma j such that I is not the same as j, set of all points. This curly braces indicate set of all points, set of all I comma j such that I not equal to j. In that way you should read it. So xi tilde times xj tilde. Okay, in this summation you have like I equal to 1 to up to n and j equal to 1 to up to n such that I is not equal to j. Okay, so after expanding the quadratic, we will get a bunch of square terms. A bunch of square terms. How many square terms are there? N square terms are there. Okay, where this I ranges from 1 to n, and then we'll have bunch of cross terms. These all are cross terms. Okay, bunch of cross terms of the form xi times xj, and we obtain one cross term for each choice of I from 1 to n. See, when I substitute I equal to 1 to n, then I'll have n terms here in this one because of this. And when I take j equal to 1 to n, again I'll get a n terms. Okay, so we obtain another n terms, but as long as the I is different from j, I am not taking I equal to j in this case. I equal to j is captured in the first part here, and here I is not equal to j. So how many terms are not considering here? N terms are not considered. Therefore n cross n squared, n square minus n. Therefore total number of terms are n square minus n terms in the second component. That is, I have n square minus n cross terms and n squared terms. So overall here the sum will have n squared minus n terms in the second part. Now we will use a linearity to move the expectation inside. So that expectation came here, I forgot to put here. You put linearity here. Because of the linearity principle, you can move the expectation inside the summation. So we obtain the sum of the expected value of xi squared. Now we know that we assume that xi squared equal to xi minus, I'm sorry, let me write neatly. This is xi minus e of xi. Okay, so therefore you substitute back here again in that expression, and the same thing you substitute here also. Okay, so this is going to be summation over I equal to 1 to n expectation of xi minus e of xi squared plus sigma I comma j such that I is not the same as j, set of all points such that this xi is replaced by xi minus e of xi, then xj is replaced by xj tilde is replaced by xj minus e of xj. Okay, now look at this. What is this? This one, if you recognize, one minute. If you recognize these terms, this is the inner terms, that is variance of xi. And if you recognize these terms, this is the covariance of covariance of xi with the xj. Okay, therefore this is going to be sigma I is equal to 1 to n variance of xi plus sigma, this is covariance of xi with the xj, where the range is I comma j such that I is not equal to j, set of all points. So we have obtained the general formula. So this is the general formula. So the left hand side, variance of x1 plus x2 up to xn. If the random variables have zero covariances, then variance of the sum is the sum of the variances. And this happens in particular when the random variables are independent. If x1 up to xn are independent with each other, then covariance of xi with the xj for all I and j, for I not equal to j, is equal to 0. Covariance is 0. When covariances are 0, in the right hand side you have only variance system. The first term alone survive. Therefore, the variance of the sum is equal to sum of the variances. That's all. So for the general case where we may have dependencies and non-zero covariances, when x1 up to xn are not independent, then we may have non-zero covariance. Non-zero covariances. So possibly it is not necessary that you have non-zero covariances, but possibly you may have non-zero covariances. Possible, it is possible. And finally, I want to put one note here. So now I just want to put a note in this formula that this formula is valid for the case where means are 0. Okay, let's if x1 up to xn have 0 means, then also the general formula can be used. General formula can be used to calculate variance of the sum. It doesn't matter whether the random variables are 0 mean or non-zero mean, but only thing is except that there is a few more symbols that are not floating around, and we need to take no need to take like this kind of things, x tilde equal to x minus e of x. This is the assumption we have taken. This symbol we introduced because we have non-zero mean. If this is 0, then this is not needed. Okay, if e of x equal to 0, then straight away I can use x1 instead of going for this x1 tilde and all. Therefore the calculation will be very simple if you have 0 mean random variables. Okay, you have a few more symbols and that are not flowing around. These extra new symbols will not be coming. So that's all. So we do not need to take this x tilde and all. In that case, no need to introduce this x tilde if means are 0. If you don't introduce the symbol, then what happens? Your expression looks very lengthy, and it becomes cumbersome, and it is very tedious to do the simplification. For that only reason we introduce this x tilde. Okay, see here I introduced x tilde equal to, where is it? Yeah, here I introduced x tilde equal to xi minus e of xi, and the same thing again in the final step I introduced back. I reintroduced back here. See, this one is replaced as shown here. Okay, xi minus e of xi, so that your calculation will be very simple. Simplification will be very easy. For that one reason, for that is the only reason I introduced that shorthand notation. Okay, so in this lecture we discussed the sum of variance of random variables. So generally if the random variables are independent, then it is very easy. Okay, sum of random variables is equal to variance of the sum is equal to sum of the variances. And if the random variables are not independent, let's say there is some dependency, in that case covariance terms also will appear. Okay, that is why we went through this general procedure, how to calculate the covariances. And these covariants are very important, especially in many contexts, and we will be and it will be used in estimation methodology. Okay, so that is why this is very, very important thing, covariance. And the next topic or in the next lecture I am going to discuss correlation or correlation coefficient. Okay, it's an extension of covariance. So at this point let me stop this lecture.